This is episode 12 of the Unbroken Protocol. The modern world is perfectly designed to overstimulate, fragment, and exhaust minds. This one is a pattern interrupt, not comfort. Extraction. Abe exposes the loop running your life since childhood, before choice, before consent. The matrix isn't broken. It's optimized. Cut the feed. Take your mind back. Let's go.
I'm Abraham Spring, and today is episode 12. The pattern they never show you. You think you're free, but you're not. Sugar owns you. Can you go a whole day without it? No cereal, no energy drinks, no snacks, no healthy protein bars loaded with sugar. But can you? Most people can't. And the moment they try, their brain spirals. Anxiety, irritability, cravings they can't explain. That's not sugar, that's withdrawal. I lived on sugar for over 20 years. The Cokes, the Red Bulls, the constant snacks. And I thought I was normal until I stopped and realized my brain had been hijacked, programmed to need stimulation, to chase hits, to never feel satisfied. Sugar didn't just feed me, it owned me. And if you're listening thinking, that's not me, ask yourself, when was the last time you went a whole day without it? If you think you're not disciplined enough, if you think you're lazy, inconsistent, or broken, I want you to understand this one thing. What if your life isn't failing because of who you are, but because of what you've been trained into? Not by one habit, not by one bad choice, but by a pattern engineered into you before you had the language to recognize it. And I learned that pattern the hard way, starting with sugar. When I was younger, sugar wasn't a treat. It was normal. The Cokes, the Red Bull, snacks between snacks. No awareness, no pause, no questioning. I didn't realize what was happening because nothing felt wrong. That's the danger. Sugar didn't just give me energy, it trained my brain. It taught a rule. Reward should be fast. Reward should be easy. Reward should arrive without the effort. And dopamine, which people still misunderstand, isn't pleasure, it's pursuit. It's the chemical that makes effort feel worth it. Sugar gives you that signal without the pursuit. So slowly, without me noticing, my brain stopped respecting effort. I remember being able to eat endless snacks and still feel empty. Not hungry, just unsatisfied. My body was full, but my brain was still hunting. Then I changed how I ate. High fats, high protein, real food. I remember eating eggs and feeling done. No craving, no background noise, no searching. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't willpower, this was conditioning. My nervous system had been taught what reward looked like, and I had to teach it again. So when you zoom out, you realize sugar wasn't the only teacher. Games use the same dopamine architecture, variable rewards. You don't know when the win is coming. You don't know when the drop happens. You're always one more round away. Your brain doesn't get addicted to winning. It gets addicted to the possibility of winning. So you live in the almost, that tension between effort and outcome. And that's where the hook lives. And once the pattern is learned, it doesn't stay in games. It bleeds into life. You start chasing peaks instead of building foundations. You pick intensity instead of consistency, moments instead of meanings. You refresh your inbox 47 times because maybe this time there's something. You scroll because maybe this video will hit. You live in perpetual anticipation, never satisfied, never done. The system doesn't want you to complete. It wants you to keep hunting. Then porn takes this same shortcut to a whole new level. It takes your brain to associate arousal with speed, novelty, and control. Endless options. Real intimacy is slower, messier, human. Porn removes all of that. So the nervous system adapts again. Reward without relationship. Hit without depth. Shortcut without meaning. You're not building connection. You're programming isolation. And when real intimacy ask for presence, vulnerability, and patience, your brain says, this is way too slow. This doesn't feel like the thing I was promised. Another loop reinforced. Another part trained to expect reward. Then social media perfects the system. Here's the question no one answers honestly. If your attention is so worthless, why is everyone hunting it? Why do influencers study hooks, retention curves, watch time? Why do platforms track how long you pause on a video? Why are billions spent engineering the perfect scroll pattern? Because your attention is more valuable than the product. When I studied content creation, what shocked me wasn't the strategy. It was how comfortable people were talking about manipulation, hijack attention, interrupt the scroll, trigger emotion, hook them in the first 3 seconds or they're gone. I remember thinking, I didn't ask for this. I didn't consent. But the Matrix doesn't care. If it can't earn your attention, it will force it. That's not entertainment. That's behavioral control. You don't get time to ask what you want. The algorithm decides for you. And here's the part that breaks people. It knows what you want better than you do because it's been watching. And here's another part no one wants to explain. Once your brain is trained on fast dopamine, resistance feels like deprivation. Not because something's missing, but because your nervous system learned that stimulation equals safety. So when you remove sugar, scrolling, porn, and constant noise, your brain panics. It says something's wrong. Why is it quiet? Why isn't there a hit? This is why people can't sit still. This is why they open their phones without thinking. Why silence feels dangerous. Most people call that a failure. But it's not failure. It's withdrawal. Stillness feels unbearable because your brain forgot how to self-regulate. It was outsourced. Now imagine your brain after all these years. Sugar equals instant reward. Games equals unpredictable reward. Porn equals intense reward. Social media, infinite reward. Then you sit down to do real work. Or you train, or you build something meaningful. And it feels flat. So you turn inward. I'm lazy. I'm not doing enough. I need pressure. I need bigger goals. You start setting impossible targets. Not because they're right, but because calm progress no longer feels like progress. You chase extremes, validation, sexy outcomes. You confuse intensity for meaning. And the worst part? You blame yourself for the dysregulation the system created. That's not laziness. That's nervous system collapse dressed up as self-improvement. And this is where ADHD enters the picture. Let me be very clear here. I'm not saying ADHD isn't real. I'm saying that if you have a dopamine-sensitive nervous system, diagnosed or not, this world is engineered to exploit it. Short-form content, ultra-processed food, infinite novelty, alerts, streaks, chaos. That's not a natural environment. So yes, ADHD is real, and yes, it's rising. But the real question is, what kind of world have we built where attention fragmentation is the default? Where kids grow up with screens before they can read? Where adults scroll more than they can sleep? Where distraction isn't a bug, it's a business model. If you have ADHD, you're not broken. You're living in a system designed to break you. And calling it as a you problem lets the system off the hook. This is why the usual advice backfires. Push harder, optimize everything, do more, grind culture. But if your nervous system is already overstimulated, pressure doesn't create discipline. It creates collapse. High performers don't win because they're constantly intense. They win because their baseline is calm. They're not fighting themselves. They're not forcing focus. They've designed a life where attention happens naturally. That's the part no one teaches. This is why I talk about systems, not productivity systems, not hustle frameworks, life architecture. Because the matrix, the dopamine extraction economy, is not built for your peace. It profits from your dysregulation. So the way out of this isn't discipline, it's design. Design your food so your brain stops hunting. Design your days so attention becomes yours again. Design your rewards so dopamine is earned, not stolen. Not through shame, through awareness, metacognition, watching the urge, naming the loop, refusing to obey automatically. This is sovereignty. And when you step out, something shifts. You stop needing to prove you're doing enough. You stop chasing permission. You stop needing validation to feel real. You don't become louder, you become clearer. Your attention lengthens, your thinking stabilizes. You could hold complexity without collapsing into black and white thinking. You stop reacting to every notification like it's an emergency. You stop living like you're always behind. You build something the algorithm can't measure. And this is what sovereignty feels like. The Matrix isn't built for you to win. So stop trying to win inside it. Build a life it can't exploit. I'm Abraham Spring, and this is the last episode of Season 1.